Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So today I'm going over President Trump and Joe Biden, as well as Vice President Mike Pence, are all doing rallies or campaign events today, right before the Georgia runoff election, which is tomorrow. These events are going on as we've seen in recent days. The polls have started to trend in the Democratic candidates Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock's direction. So President Trump and Mike Pence are going down to Georgia to try to boost Republican turnout and try to give the Republican candidates the boost and support they need, while Joe Biden's going down to Georgia to try to keep the enthusiasm up for Jon Ossoff and for Raphael Warnock. So we know that Joe Biden's doing a campaign event in Atlanta, and I believe President Trump is doing one, I believe in Dalton, I think it was Dalton, Georgia. Both of these are intent on boosting turnout. However, the big caveat that everyone has been talking about over the last day or two or so is President Trump is going down to Georgia right after the tape of him talking to the Secretary of State regarding trying to find 11,000 votes or so for him to win the election has been released. And this tape has kind of been very polarizing for even a lot of Republicans as well. The Democrats are all against it, and some members of the Democratic House are considering bringing charges against President Trump. Meanwhile, many Republicans are split on this. The Republicans who like Trump obviously are like Trump and are loyal to Trump and say this is fine. However, there are some Republicans though who aren't sure what to think about this and aren't really sure what to do. And this is stirring a rift in Georgia as the Secretary of State and Governor of Georgia have been very outspoken and vocal about the election integrity in Georgia, and President Trump has been very vocal in the opposite direction. So we don't really know how this will impact the Senate race, but it's a pretty good bet that this is definitely making a lot of Republicans in Georgia very nervous, as the Democratic candidates were already starting to pull ahead in the polls and take the lead over the Republicans. And now this tape coming out does not really bode all too great for Republicans. If you want to win an election, this isn't really based on fact, which this is more my 2 cents and my personal insight. But if you want to win an election, you want to have as least scandals as possible. Scandals doesn't necessarily play as big as an effect in a race as it did, say, even 10 years ago or so. But scandals when you're running is never good. And since the election has been over, President Trump has spent most of his time talking about how the election was rigged and how that he should have won and how he did win. And throughout this Georgia, even the rallies he did at Georgia, most of the attention in the media has been about that. And a lot of the attention about Georgia hasn't really been from President Trump. And a lot of Republican pollsters and campaign strategists are concerned that this lack of attention on Georgia and this attention on overturning the presidential results is actually going to hurt the Senate candidates because it's making people in Georgia who are supportive of President Trump very pissed off and annoyed that President Trump did not win the state, and or if they did win the state, that he got rigged out of it, and they're not going to want to go vote in the Senate runoff. And Republican strategists agreed that for Republicans David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to win, they need high Republican turnout. The Democrats are getting very good turnout right now in the early votes that I showed in my previous video. So to match that, Republicans need to have very good in-person on election day voter turnout if they want to win this race. And a lot of Republican pollsters are concerned that this videotape releasing might hamper that chance or hamper that progress. So that's kind of what's going on with that. It's also very important to note that the betting odds for these two races, betting odds aren't always the best predictor, but it often tells you what people who are putting their own money on the line to what they think is going to happen. The Loeffler versus Warnock race, Raphael Warnock is now leading with 62 to 41 cents. So they have a very firm belief that Raphael Warnock is going to win this race at this time. It's still close. 60-40 is still very close, but it is an advantage nonetheless. Meanwhile, for the other race, for Perdue versus Ossoff, this was the race that was supposed to be easier for Republicans. This is the one that shouldn't have been too much of a fight. And Jon Ossoff is now over David Perdue 53 to 50. And this is very close. This is a dead heat. Both of these races are very close. But the fact that the Democrats are now leading in the betting odds, when even a week ago the Republicans were up by at least the same margins, if not more, this can be very concerning for Republicans going into the runoff. However, That being said, we have seen a string of Democratic polls lately showing the Democrats are ahead. But we must remember anything is possible. Republicans can still win this race if there's good voter turnout on election day, or maybe there is not good turnout and the Democrats win. We really don't know. What's important is the election is tomorrow. Everyone's going to go out and vote. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Alright, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please remember to give it a like. If you really liked it, please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.